Good evening. I'd like to call this meeting of the Conservation Commission to order. First item on the agenda is to review and approve minutes, and we do not have any. Second item on the agenda is to sign some bills.
There are 3 bills, one for the
Three bills.
one from the community advocate and 2 from peer review services.
I think that's it.
Okay, next meetings and hearings. We have a RDA continued public meeting regarding the request for determination of applicability for Mark Lambert, 41 Campground Road, West Boylston, for the removal of 10 trees in the yard in wetland area at 216 North Street. Is there somebody here regarding this?
Is Mark here yet? Okay. Let me
We
see
can
if
come
he's
back to
online.
him, we've
Table
announced
it.
it.
Yeah, we can come back to it.
All right, we'll come back to this one. There's nobody here representing this one. All right, so we have a new public hearing.
Oh,
Although this is also for
So
Mark.
you have a hearing
And
as
so
well,
he
right?
is not here.
So he's not here as well, so we'll
So
hold
we'll
that
just
one.
hold that one.
okay, we'll open it.
Answer yet.
All right, so we have a continued public hearing regarding a notice of intent filed by Kevin Mizikar on behalf of the town of Shrewsbury, 100 Maple Ave, for the replacement of approximately 210 linear feet of sidewalk at Graylock Park or 6378 Oregon Ave. Hello. Come right up. Go right ahead.
So we only had a few comments back.
And you are?
I am Doug Alward, senior engineer here at the town of
Okay.
Shrewsbury. We only had a few comments back from Mass DEP. The first one was Mass DEP recommends quantifying temporary alterations associated with bordering land subject to flooding and riverfront area associated with the in-kind replacement of the sidewalk. Temporary alterations should be accurately reflecting in any resulting OOC. My response to that was that there are no temporary alterations outside of the already disturbed area. We did show the extent of the work on the plans, which was the limit of loaming and seeding as shown on the plan set. It was only 3 feet to each side of the sidewalk. We don't intend to disturb any more of that. So that was my answer to that. The second question was regarding if there was any existing stormwater infrastructure at the park, to which there is not. So therefore, we do not have any upgrades or anything like that. The only impervious area in the park is actually the sidewalks themselves. The last comment was the commission may consider a condition for the submission of a signed illicit discharge compliance statement prior to the start of the work, and the condition requiring the submission of an as-built plan to include the final site elevations prior to the issuance of certificate of compliance and perpetual conditions for O&M plan activities. We have no problem doing an illicit discharge compliance statement, and we do not have any issues doing an as-built.
Okay. Other than that, the plans are the same that you presented
Yes.
last month. Nothing else has changed. You just
Nope.
answered the DEP comments.
Yes, sir.
Correct. Okay. Diane?
I don't have any questions.
Emily?
For work within the BLSF, what is the elevation of that?
So you mean compared to flood elevations
Or
or
what's the
pre
flood?
versus existing?
So what's the base flood elevation in the area?
So I think 75% of the project is above the base elevation.
Okay.
The bottom 25% is within it.
Okay, and that's probably near the river then, that 25% of
It
the-
is, yeah. The last quarter of it down by the riverfront.
And is there grading associated with the project?
No, it is going to be a grade in place, so everything should be about the same.
Is it typical that you guys would go out and do like an as-built or,
Yes,
okay,
just to show that it is
the same?
not changing, yeah.
Yes, specifically the floodplain, not changing
Yep.
that elevation. That is it for me.
Bobby,
No questions?
Chris,
None for me.
Aaliyah?
Just to clarify, the flood elevation, or the elevation for the project is at 393. I'm not sure. I don't think I don't think the flood elevation is listed on the plan set.
Oh, is it like a zone A? Does it have a B
The elevation
defined?
is listed, but not the flood elevation, right?
Yes, yeah, the elevation of the project is listed. The Westbrook is very well channelized in that area because it was an Army Corps project, so it's pretty well established.
Size.
It maintains its channel pretty well too.
Okay. Thanks, Aaliyah.
Any other questions from the audience? Okay. I guess then, if there aren't any more questions, we'll close this hearing.
No.
Thank you.
Here it is. 96.
All right, we have a new public hearing, correct?
Notice is hereby given in accordance with the provisions of General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, in the Town of Shrewsbury Wetlands Bylaw and Regulation that Daniel Campbell, 249 South Street, Unit 1, Plainville, Mass., has filed a request to amend the order of conditions for 285-1903, I'm sorry, 285-1905 for the construction of a parking lot expansion at 800 Boston Turnpike.
Is there anyone here?
Good evening, Mr. Chair, members of the commission. I'm Nick Kelling from Level Design, representing the applicant. Unfortunately, Dan couldn't attend tonight. He's dealing with some family matters. Basically, what we're looking for in a modification is, we've had some issues with the parking lot located in this section. It was evaluated by PAR Engineering per our letter that was submitted on the 16th of October. That's been all handled well. We added some geotextile fabric, some geogrid, and that should be all fine. The next third phase of the project is the plantings and landscaping. We are removing parking in this area, so that'll be more planted area where we extended the entrance from Chestnut Street and removed a space for planting. The big area in question is the area along the back of that parking lot that was having the deleterious material issue next to the isolated land subject to flooding. We originally have plantings and to loam and seed the slope. The plantings we're still continuing on proposing to do. It's just that the slope we're proposing to change to riprap. The reason being is with all the deleterious material underneath the parking lot, it was per the geotechnical engineer to either remove all of that material, which would have been thousands of yards of material, and then fill to bring it back up, or the option we went with, which was putting the textile down, putting the geogrid down. But there needs to be some area where that water has to go, the pore pressure, hydrostatic pressure. And the design team decided that adding that riprap on the slope gives a path of least resistance for the water to kind of flow naturally out of, back down to the area that floods. And it won't change any of the plantings that was approved prior. It's just that it won't be loam and seed. It'll be riprap, which, in turn will be a little easier to maintain for the maintenance. There'll be no mowing that's required in that area now. And overall, it'll make the site work better. We won't have any issues in that parking lot. We'll have to return again to fix anything that might step up. Happy to answer any questions, but that's kind of the gist of it.
Is this so the original order of conditions was for what?
This is for the whole parking area along the front. They were changing, I wasn't on the project at this point, but they were changing the whole parking in the front, and this is the last phase of it, was this section of parking.
So the only changes you're asking, the amendment is to change the area from grass to a riprap?
Correct, just in one area for the slope.
Okay, I'm good. Diane?
How many feet of riprap is that?
Doesn't say in the plans, but looking at the scale, I think it's 8 feet of riprap. And there'll still be a grass shoulder up along the parking lot. It's just that when it starts to tip back down, it's just a section of that slope to be riprap.
Okay.
Was your amendment request submitted to Mass DEP?
It was, yes.
Do you
I-
have a date on that, or did you hear back from them at all?
Dan would have that information. The date that it was requested is in the letter that was submitted on the 16th. Sorry, bear with me for one moment.
Because, I mean,
Yeah, unfortunately, I don't have that.
placement of like fill closer to the resource area in an amendment request is what I'm seeing at surface level.
Yeah, unfortunately, there's no date in the letter. We can definitely get you that information. This is just part of the next phase of this construction. There's gonna be no extra fill or anything in there. It's just that,
Well, it's riprap would be fill.
yeah, we would still have to build up that slope anyways. It's still open at the moment.
So are you removing some material and putting the riprap back in its place?
There'll be no material removed. It's how it is right now. It's just that it's not loam
not
seeded
completed.
yet. Exactly. Yep, it's just that
So in lieu of the
That
loom-
area is loamed and seeded.
is it at the moment?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Under my,
it's pretty
okay.
well established.
Well, I guess then we would be removing that loam and seed and putting riprap in.
So actually, may I ask a question? Okay, so I can see where you're putting in the 8 feet of riprap.
Yep.
And I can see the 8 spaces that have been put in there.
Yes,
And those are the spaces that are having a problem, right?
correct, they
So
were.
that's gonna be removed and redone?
So the parking itself has already been, it all was taken up. They put down better base, the geogrid, the geotextile, and it's been paved over. So that part of it is all done. It won't have to be changed, if that answers your question.
Yeah, I actually, if we were doing it in a different order of events, I would have asked, would you consider putting pervious pavement there so that we have rain and storm water going directly down?
Sure, I think, I'm not 100% sure. Dan would have had the more concise answer, but I think pervious pavement was looked at. I think just with heavy truck traffic, it wouldn't have.
This is for truck traffic, isn't that just for cars parking?
Yes, but the reason that it started to buckle was they were parking trucks over there for, if they were waiting if they brought 2 loads in at one time and they were backing it up. I think that's what ended up creating the issues, and that's why they were like, we don't want to go with anything that might, have us to return to fix it again for the 3rd time. So that's why pervious pavement wasn't used.
Okay, though it could have been used just for the parking spaces. A rectangle right there.
It definitely could have.
Yeah, which
Unfortunately,
would
I
have
wasn't the design engineer.
Help
on it.
offset the
Yep.
problem, because the riprap, I mean, I do get it that it slows down the water as it's descending towards this area. But it's not ideal for a wetland to have riprap right there. So I just would like at least plant that idea,
Mhm.
that maybe that would have been a good solution.
I'll definitely report that back and.
Thank you.
Yep.
Okay, I'm done.
Aaliyah, did you hear back from anybody at DEP about it?
I did
Receiving it?
not.
'Cause I checked and we didn't receive the amendment request.
How very strange. Yeah.
So I'm wondering if they took a look at it.
Yeah, we might want to hear back from DEP just to confirm that it's all squared away, before we are able to approve the request. So, yeah, it might be something
Sounds
that we
like
need to.
it's stabilized in the meantime.
Yes, it is. It does seem pretty well stabilized in the interim while it is kind of figuring it out. I think, yeah, so that might just be a consideration for the commission that we might want to wait till November just to confirm that we can hear back from DEP and any comments they might have.
Bob?
That's what I say, I went down, that parking lot looks good. I mean, from what it was, I looked at it before and I looked at it after, it looks a lot better. Does look like you have some water, it actually comes in from the southern part of that and still rolls around. But other than that, the parking lot looks good. Like I said, we'll just see what happens with the DEP.
Perfect.
Yeah,
Chris?
I agree. Just wait.
Aaliyah, anything else?
Yeah, I guess I did have there's erosion control still installed there. You
Yes.
have will that be able to remain in place while you are conducting that work?
Yes.
Okay, and it looks like the soil is up to I guess the base of obviously the curbs have been installed as well. The soil level is kind of at the base of the parking lot below the curb. So are you going on, in order to catch the water that's under the asphalt, you don't have to go down at all?
Are you talking about like down slope or like just?
Yeah,
that
down,
area?
because, yeah, if the pavement is here, it sounds like there's water doing weird things under the parking lot. If the soil is at grade with the parking lot, you don't have to go down at all to catch the water?
No, it's more of, seasonal high groundwater coming up underneath.
Okay.
And like, that's what kind of made the parking lot.
Oh, okay, it's shifting because, okay,
Exactly, so
interesting,
it's just
interesting.
giving
So it just needs an
the
out?
area- exactly.
Okay. Okay, yeah, I guess that would be just a question that I might recommend to the commission as well, that just confirming what that final elevation of where you're going down with the riprap. And then where you're gonna take that soil after, just making sure that soil is removed appropriately and
Yep, no,
not
definitely.
just pitched in the wetland or something fun. And then you said plantings are proposed where? Are they proposed along that slope or?
Yeah, I think there's some proposed plantings kind of in this section right next to that area of flooding that Dan was saying that was part of a, remediation plan that was originally part of the original permit.
Yeah, so that does look planted already. So
I think it
those-
is,
yeah,
but
as
we
long
just
as
wanted
those
to make
aren't
sure,
proposed.
that none of the plantings that were proposed or installed are gonna be affected by this.
Okay.
It's just that grass area is gonna become.
Yeah, just especially depending on the size of the riprap, just making sure that there's not any rogue stone whacking into any of the sensitive wetland plants
Exactly.
beyond the.
Yep.
And then were the islands proposed to be, I think they're stone-filled islands now. Were they going to be filled with plants, or are they little stone,
I think they're gonna remain as
Little
stone
stone
just
guys,
to let, the water kind
some of
of,
that water keep moving?
yeah, exactly, if it comes up through it or, to kind of just get out and through that area.
Perfect, okay. Yeah, so I
I
think
have
that's it.
one more question.
Emily?
Are there any proposed changes to the stormwater design as a result of this, or?
No, there'll be no change, the stormwater design, it's pretty minor, changing from loam and seed to riprap, and also it still allows water to freely, flow.
Okay. That's it.
Okay. Anybody in the audience have any questions? Okay, I guess we'll need to continue this till our next meeting, which is
November 18.
November 18th.
Okay.
Hopefully, we hear back from DEP by then, okay?
Okay,
Thank you.
all right, thank you very much.
You did ask for a continuance, correct?
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. We have a continued public hearing regarding the notice of intent filed by Michael Rago on behalf of Elm Development LLC, P.O. Box 423 Hudson, for the construction of a single-family home and associated driveway, utility connections, and stormwater infrastructure at 457 Walnut Street. Good evening.
Good evening, Commissioners. For the record, my name is Brandon Barry with Barry Design Consultants. I am the engineer for the project. I'm also joined by Michael Rigo tonight with Elm Development, the builder and applicant on the project. We were before the Commission just about a month ago at your hearing in September to discuss our project, which involves construction of a single-family home in the 100-foot buffer to the wetland area. At that hearing, the Commission had a few questions and comments and requested some changes be reflected on our plans. Ilya, are you able to show the exhibit that I sent you?
Yes.
Awesome. I did put together a quick exhibit that just highlights the changes that we made in red, just kind of make it a little bit easier for us to review tonight on the screen. And then I'll keep my comments brief just to the changes that were requested and what we've done for those.
I actually don't want a summary of that, thank you. No way. Okay, do you want this page or do you want this?
Is the one that I uploaded yesterday and emailed to you available? That's the one from the original hearing.
I did not put it in my folder. I don't think I put it in
One
my
of those
folder.
17.
Yeah, 1 second. Share this tab instead. There you go.
There we go. So this, like I said, same plan that you guys are all looking at. I just combined some of them together and highlighted the features that we've changed in red, so it's a little bit clearer. There was a question about access from the rear of the house at the last meeting. We had discussed that there may just be a small step or stoop coming out. As the commission mentioned, that if that plan was to change or they reconsidered, they would have to come back. So we reconsidered and conversed, and they decided that actually they would prefer to put a 14 by 14 deck off the rear that will have 2 steps coming down, as shown here. The deck is outside the 30-foot no structure. It will just be a wooden deck constructed off the back of the house there. There was also a question about the proposed well that we had. The well used to be in the location of that 25.8-foot setback to the deck that I'm showing there. There was a question about if it met the setbacks to the septic system on the other side. We revisited, requested as-built plans from the Board of Health, and they did not have an as-built plan for the leaching field, just the D-box and septic tank. And so with there being some uncertainty there, we've actually relocated the well to the southern side of the house. So even when we dropped in where the distribution tank was and did a 100-foot offset, it does not encroach across the whole house. So we're moving the well to the other side to just ensure that it's completely outside of that setback. There was also questions relative to our electric connection and any work that would be required for that within the 100-foot buffer. The applicant has met with the electric company on site and discussed the proposed design. We'll be showing a utility pole at the front here, which is actually outside the 100-foot buffer, then an underground electric connection that'll have about 10 feet or so within the 100-foot buffer connecting to the house. We've also added some plantings around a walkway from the driveway to the front entrance of the house. These will consist primarily of dogwood shrubs and hydrangea plants. So really there, the rest of the site will just be lawned area. If we scroll down, there's 3 existing mature trees on site that are to remain. We're showing tree protection being added around those, so not just calling them out to remain, but installing some protection around them so they aren't impacted during construction. We've also added a detail for that to our plan set as well. There's a question about the riprap outlet for our drainage system. We've added a detail for that to our plan set. And then the last item that we had discussed was delineating the 15-foot no disturb area at the back, so future owners would be aware that that existed and did not push their lawn into an area they should not be working. There's a few different options that were discussed. What we are proposing on our plan is we're going to set signs on a PVC post along the 15-foot buffer at 15-foot intervals. So it ends up resulting in 13 of these signs. They'll have language on them that says this is a 15-foot buffer to the wetland area, do not disturb area behind the sign. Those will be set in a concrete base, so those will be a permanent structure that someone can't just accidentally knock over or say they didn't realize it was there. We'll have those at pretty frequent intervals, so there's not any question about where that 15-foot buffer is on the site. I believe those are all the comments that the commission had at the last hearing, so I'd certainly be open to any feedback on those or any other questions you might have.
All right, thank you. Diane?
As this is right next to this intermittent stream, though every now and then that intermittent stream is really raging, you can tell. And as there, so my question is there a way to avoid putting nitrogen or phosphates on the lawn because it will slope into the water and be carried farther downstream?
Yeah, we would be open to a condition that, future fertilization, that in the order of conditions specifying that nitrogen or phosphate sensitive fertilizers were used on the lawn or no fertilizing was used on the lawn.
Okay.
The condition will go with, the order conditions will be recorded with the property and will be available to the future homeowners.
Okay. And do I remember that there was gonna be a swale someplace? No?
No swale.
Okay.
We have for the most part, the site is just, surface draining back to the rear of the site in the wetland as it does today. The impervious surfaces, including the house and driveway, are being collected in a stormwater system underground to provide retention and treatment, or retention prior to discharging it. There will be a pipe that discharges it outside the 15-foot no disturb area, and that's where we added the riprap to kind of slow that down and prevent any erosion or scouring outside that pipe. But no swales that we're proposing.
Okay, thank you.
I personally have
Emily?
no questions from me.
Thank you.
No question, thank you for addressing all this stuff.
You're welcome.
I echo the same comment as Bob, but I appreciate you addressing everything we mentioned last month.
You're welcome.
Elia?
I think that pretty much addressed everything that we had discussed, making sure that I would recommend the special conditions to ensure the signage and everything is installed, but
Very
it's
good.
good.
Anybody in the audience have any questions? I guess we don't have any questions, and we thank you for addressing all our concerns on
You're
last
welcome.
month. And I guess we can close this hearing.
Awesome. We appreciate working with you guys.
All right. We have a continued public hearing regarding the notice of intent filed by 160 Holden Street LLC, GFI Partners LLC, 133 Pearl Street, Suite 300, Boston, Mass. For the installation of a soil line and associated erosion and sediment controls at 142 Clinton, Clinton Street, 160 Holden Street, and in the Holden Street right-of-way. Hello.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the commission. For the record, my name is Doug Hartnett, principal with High Point Engineering, representing GFI Partners and the town of Shrewsbury for this continued public hearing tonight on the sewer extension project for 142 Clinton Street. A little bit of history, as the commission may know. 142 Clinton Street is the warehouse development project located off of Clinton Street. The project in front of the commission this evening is a notice of intent application for extending sanitary sewer from 142 Clinton Street across 160 Holden Street, which is the Worcester Sand and Stone, basically aggregate operation, and then continuing down Holden Street to the existing municipal sewer that's within Holden Street. We were here with the commission on August 18th, or 21st, I can't remember the right date. And at that point in time, the commission had some questions that we would like addressed, that I'll be addressing this evening. In addition, we had received, this is a concurrent filing, not just with the commission, but with Mass DEP, Division of Water Pollution Control, regarding a WM16 permit, which is an approval of the extension of the sewer. Essentially, they view this as an extension of the sewer that eventually connects to the Westboro Treatment Works. And so there's a concurrent review ongoing with that. So since our last hearing, we've addressed two sets of comments. We've addressed the commission's comments, and I'll summarize those briefly in a minute, as well as the WM16 permit review comments, the technical review comments provided by DEP. Those plans were revised together to incorporate and address all those comments by both boards and resubmitted, and that brings us to where we are this evening. The commission had certain questions that they would like addressed, and I wanted to address those now. Elia, if you don't mind, well, actually, that's probably okay, just to make sure the commissioners have their context. You can see 142 Clinton Street at the top of the screen. The sewer extension is the red line that continues across 142 Clinton Street, 160 Holden Street, and then down along Holden Street itself, connecting to Gravity Sewer. just west of the high school driveway. The commission's comments were generally focused on this area here as it relates to protection of the resource areas associated with the pond. Ellie, if you could go to the, yeah, so this is a presentation plan I thought was maybe better suited for the commission's consideration. It's identical to the plans that are in, or the design content that's in the package that was submitted, but I've basically taken two viewports and connected them together and reoriented it, so it's easier for the commission to see this area of the project for the purposes of review. Alea, if you don't mind just panning up a little bit, or just zooming out a bit. No, I meant just on the image itself. There you go. Thank you very much. So for context, I'm going to have to go over here, if you don't mind. This is Holden Street. This is the Worcester Sand and Stone operation. This is the Scale House, if you're familiar with the area. This is Sewell Street, and then Holden Street continues and takes the bend and eventually goes down to the driveway for the high school. As we had explained in the prior meeting, this is a cut and cover aspect of the project where trenching and installation of low-pressure sanitary sewer force main will be built in this segment of the roadway. And as we get to where this darker gray area is, that area is designated for full-depth roadway reconstruction, as well as the installation of the low-pressure sewer force main. The reason for the full-depth reconstruction is the number of lateral extensions that we're constructing as part of the sewer project to provide opportunities for future sewer connections for the residences that front on the roadway. One of the questions that the commission wanted to have addressed was regarding dewatering and where the staging would be for that. So what we've done is we've set this plan up in a manner that provides the original staging for dewatering operations where they're going to be, where we think we will be potentially within the water table at the locations of where the called the jacking pits for the horizontal directional drilling operation to extend the polyethylene sewer from this location underneath the four-sided box culvert and back out until we get to where the cut and cover project would be for the remaining of the sewer. In that location, we are proposing an area where they can manage groundwater in terms of dewatering. Potentially, if they need well points, they can drop those in here for the construction of this portion of the sewer. Have basically a suction pump at this location, and then a discharge line extending to this area of the right-of-way. So the right-of-way is a little bit odd here. So the dark line represents the right-of-way position, as well as this area here, though Worcester Sand has been operating in this zone for decades. The reason we picked this location for location of frac tank and dewatering management is there's an existing sediment basin that's located here that Worcester Sand basically manages to minimize any potential discharges over to the lake based on any sheet runoff that comes off of the operation today. So we felt it was most appropriate to position this within the right-of-way, as far outside of the buffer zone as we could get it. This is the 100-foot buffer zone, as you see here, with a frac tank, a discharge to a silt bag placed on stone, and then a leak discharge into the sediment basin to allow for recharge. The proposal is to basically call it dig out the basin, if you will, remove the sediment that's in there so it's working optimally before we put this into operation. Again, we don't know exactly how much dewatering we may need, but we feel that this proposal satisfies the commission's concerns regarding that, and it'll be up to the contractor ultimately when they get on site as they start doing the trenching operations. If they need to adjust on site for dewatering, this would be the location for the management of it if they have to provide other dewatering positions for well points and so forth within the trenching operation. The second item would be the closed system for the collection of any of the spoils that are generated through the horizontal directional drilling operation. What they do is they do a borehole through the soil and then pull the pipe back through, and as they retract that, there is the creation of basically spoils that are done based upon the operation of horizontal directional drilling. those are collected and discharged to a collection system here without discharge to the resource area. This is collected, as we understand it, and discharged by a licensed contractor.
Do
No.
we have this plan? 'Cause the plan
Yes,
I'm
this is
look-
the plan that was
This
submitted
plan
last week.
isn't that.
Is that not the updated?
Oh, no, so, excuse me, so this plan, it's in your plan set. I just reoriented it so it made it easier for the commission to review.
So the plan I'm looking at on
The
page-
plan you're looking at, Mr. Chairman, has a line broken here, so you have a scope of work here and a scope of work.
It's,
You see Exhibit B?
it's P, T3 here.
Is there something at the end?
Can I approach the,
Yeah,
Here, take a look at this.
yeah. Because this doesn't show the directional, it just shows a little directional drill. It doesn't show what you're discussing. It's different.
so the directional drill
It's from-
is from this position to this position.
Because that's not what this is saying here.
In terms of, what is it not saying that?
It just says that this was the proposed directional
Oh, the
drill.
intent was that the limits were here and
Yeah,
here, so it should
all right,
have been
well,
clear,
that-
to your point,
all right,
Mr. Chairman.
All right,
Thank
so,
you.
but that is the intent, is to go from
Yes.
station 1556 to station, whatever this manhole is here,
Correct.
1437.
So
37 to
1437
1556, whichever way
to
they do it.
1556.
That makes perfectly good sense. 'cause
Okay,
that
so
did-
we'll-
this makes sense.
We'll include a special condition probably, should the
Yeah.
commission close the hearing, we'll
Yeah.
include a special condition
way-
detailing where that's going to, just so it's clear if the plan set is not being
Right.
clear about it.
Okay.
And for the other members' benefit, the positioning of this was based upon where we believe the pits will be.
Correct.
And then when they get done with that, they can use that excavation to install cleanouts at those
That's perfect.
locations.
That sounds good.
Would you need a revised detail?
Do you have a detail? Because if you could have a revised detail on just showing that, it would be good.
We would just add a note, because the horizontal directional drilling contract is a design-build contract within the scope of work. So we would get the horizontal directional drilling contractor on board. They would look at it, they'd look at it from their own means and methods. So if there's any adjustments they feel they need to make to be able to execute the work, perhaps there's a condition that the commission would want to implement to make sure that if there's any significant modifications with respect to the plan, that either we meet with staff or if necessary, come back to the commission.
We could say between 1,400 and
1600?
1,600 or so. That way it'll give you enough room
Mhm.
in between.
Okay,
Yeah, I like that.
That way,
so 14 to
you
16
do the
square.
directional drill between those two
Gives you
stations.
50 feet on either end.
That gives you a little bit of leeway in case they need more room to pull or push, because it's coming
Right.
down pretty steep.
Well, it's interesting you say that, Mr. Chairman. The drawings, because it's 4 and 40, is a little bit skewed in how it looks. In
Oh, I
fact, as you may know from your business, the approach angles for the HDD is about 12 degrees. So the plan, it looks like it's about 3 to 1. I understand that.
We just want to make sure you have enough room to do what you need to do, so we'll just write that as a condition, and then you're covered.
Thank you.
Okay.
Second question raised, if there's any other questions on this, then I
No.
can move to the second one. Thank you. There was some questions about what are we doing with potential surface runoff control at the intersection. Just wanted to reiterate, we have silt sacks in all the closed, or surface drainage areas where we have catch basins. We have filter socks along the entire right-of-way on down gradient side at the lake, and in the other areas up along in here. We have some in here to be able to, if any of the roadway is actually pitching toward Worcester sand, but within the right-of-way, those also have filter socks as well. So I believe that was the question that we heard. If there's other erosion control measures that we feel are appropriate, I suspect there will be some erosion control monitoring that goes on as part of the short-term construction operation and maintenance plan, and we'd implement any additional measures that are required. HDD limits we discussed, Mr. Chairman, so that's been addressed. The dewatering we discussed, the erosion control we discussed. You brought up a question about clay saddles, and it was was a good question. DEP did not bring up the need for it, but I did go back into TR 16 to look at the requirements or what the recommendations would be to consider it. Specifically from TR 16, surrounding native material, if it's considerably less impervious than the pipe bedding material, you'd want to consider it. In this case, we're in a sand aquifer area. Based, if you compare that against the gravel base for the cut and cover sewer work, really the materials aren't that significantly different in terms of having their perviousness, so we do not feel that was necessary. The horizontal directional drilling will not have it because you're not going to have a cut and cover part of the work for the trenching in there, so that would be, you wouldn't have it there anyway. Pipe bedding that could provide a hydraulic head of 25 feet or greater on a pipe, that would be if you have an elevated groundwater gradient or a resource area that's up gradient of your excavation. You might get a hydraulic head that pushes down and would end up going in the trenches. We don't have that because the sewer is actually running along the elevation of the roadway. The intent is to have the sewer about 5 feet. It's intended to be able to run with the roadway, so we did not have that condition either. And then lastly, the recommendation on if these are constructed downstream of any waterway or wetland crossings, again, the horizontal directional drilling is a closed pipe system. We're not providing any cut and cover in there. And then along the remaining corridor of the sewer, it's all basically following the roadway, and we do not have any significant waterway or wetlands up gradient or down gradient from that, except for the pond right here. But there's not a potential for this to travel down the trench because this roadway is basically kind of more or less level. When you go out there, we wouldn't see any traveling of groundwater within the trenches. But to that end, DEP does have another review of this. They're going through it right now. We expect their technical review comments in the next couple of weeks. And I think that addresses all the comments we had at the last meeting. And be glad to entertain any questions the commissioners might have. Thank you.
Diane?
I do not have any questions.
Emily?
The only question I guess I have is, if there's about the sediment basin on the sand and gravel operation property. If, I guess just making sure that it does get cleaned out before it's put to use, I guess. Is there like a note we could add or something along those lines? Because I find that contractors, they don't always read the plans, but at least there would be a note.
So to address your question, Ms. Petro, there is a note on the plans to excavate it out and make sure it's operational prior to the work. Condition to reinforce that is perfectly fine, I think.
That's it for me.
Okay, Bobby?
No questions.
Chris?
No additional questions.
Leah?
That might be part of or it might be something that could be conditioned to be included as part of our initial erosion control inspection, when typically me and Vincent from Stormwater will go out just to ensure that adequate erosion control has been installed for projects.
Yeah,
At that point in time, they can probably show us the freshly dug sediment trap.
Okay.
Yes, sorry. Whose turn was it?
Yours.
My turn. Oh my gosh, yay.
You're rolling.
I'll keep chatting then. I'm gonna switch screens because I'm gonna pull up our aerials. It looks like there's a line of trees along Sewell Street, and then a lower vegetated area, and then another line of trees. Do you have an idea of where that sediment area and truck setup is gonna be? Or I guess the question related to that is tree removal proposed? Because it looks like you have a fresh line of arborvitaes planted too, so.
It's a good question. Using the street boundary as a guide, the discharge line would cut across the highway and have to come in through here.
Okay,
But it's all surface.
okay,
Again, they're not going to be excavated and dropped down. It's going to be temporary. If they're in operation for more than a few weeks, I'd be surprised.
yeah, that makes sense.
So if they can fish this through the arborvitaes
Okay.
and retain those, we will talk to the contractor about that.
Mm-hmm.
The sediment area, I believe, is right in here.
Okay, But so as part of this, no tree removal is proposed at this stage?
Correct.
Okay. Yeah, if you do find that, if you could notify us, if you do find that, because it is within the 100-foot buffer zone, and it would be subject to permitting, obviously smaller permitting compared to the extent of this project, but we would like to know if any tree removal is proposed. I think that was it for questions.
Okay. You had mentioned, Doug, that a DEP needs to review this.
Is it a couple of weeks?
So we're gonna probably keep this open till next month, or what if they have come back with comments that aren't, that,
Well, Mr. Chairman, I will say that the comments that they brought up at the August letter we received did not appreciably change the scope of work within jurisdiction of the commission. Their comments were largely about the design of the low-pressure sewer system, the pressure ratings of the piping, the capacity of the downstream sewers. You know, a lot of it was plan cleanup, typos, things along that line. But there weren't any significant changes, if any, I think, in terms of the alignment or the depths or anything like that as part of their review. So if we get a tech review again and there's some other comments, if there's comments that relate to areas within commission jurisdiction, I guess what we would ask is the commission could close the hearing. We could evaluate where the letter comes in. If there's a substantial enough change in design, we can come back to the commission for that. The work is not slated to begin until next spring anyway. So we have plenty of time, I think, to address perhaps any last loose end items that might be there, so.
Yeah, we just unfortunately don't have like a way to make small changes. You'd have to come for an amended order, so it's just like the whole shebang again. But if you're open,
see.
if you're open for the whole shebang again,
or you could wait.
Request to
If
close,
it's not
whatever.
gonna happen till
Let you
spring, and you wanna wait a month, come back next month, and if you wanna hold it open till then, and see what happens with the DP, maybe they'll have the comments, and we can close it then. Or we could close it, we can do whatever you'd like.
And where the next hearing is
November
the
18th.
18th of November?
yeah.
Just a quick question about how DEP's doing another review, or did you submit revisions based on their comments?
We submit revisions based on their comments.
And then,
Is this the wetlands branch of
yeah,
the
that's what I'm
wetlands?
trying
No,
to ask.
it's
Okay.
water pollution.
That's what I
Yeah,
was
so
like.
the-
Water pollution
Typically,
control.
they wouldn't issue another set of comments. It would be up to the commission to, at least from a wetlands review, unless they were.
Close it.
Yeah, so it sounds like DEP from a sewer thing
Yeah.
standpoint is reviewing it at this
Yeah.
point in time. So
So well, I guess then we'll close it.
yeah,
If
they would
there's no other
probably.
questions from the audience, we'll close it, and if there are, anything happens that's significant, you'd have to come back anyway and ask for an amendment.
Okay.
Fair enough?
Yeah, it sounds good, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
All right, so I guess there's no other questions. We will close this hearing.
Thank you for your time.
All right, so we have a continued public hearing regarding the abbreviated notice of resource area delineation filed by Anthony Rich on behalf of 223 Hartford Legacy LLC, Wellesley, Mass., for the delineation of a bordering and isolated vegetated wetland at 223 Hartford Turnpike.
Good evening, I'm Kate O'Donnell from Ecotech, wetland scientist, here on behalf of the applicant. So since the last meeting, we were able to get the peer reviewer engaged. We had a site walk with Andrew from Beals and Thomas. Aaliyah was also there to review the wetland boundary. And we didn't make any changes to the delineation while we were out there. Andrew was pretty much in agreement with every flag, and he submitted a report detailing that. He did make 2 minor recommendations for plan changes, one of which was to get it stamped by APLS, which is now on there. And then the second comment was to note that that B series wetland is isolated. I think it was marked as a BVW originally. So that is now reflected on the updated plan. And then the last comment that Andrew had was relative to the presence or absence of isolated land subject to flooding associated with that isolated wetland. And so we provided some additional information. We had an engineer write up a memo kind of explaining, you know, this is a 181 square foot size wetland. It's and provided a volume that it would flood to, and it would not qualify. So we would be requesting a determination on the absence of ILSF as well, in addition to the resource areas that we delineated on the plan. So I believe everything is addressed. I don't know if Andrew's here, if he wants to discuss anything. Is he on Zoom?
I don't think so. Yeah.
Okay, but I think we had everything addressed. He seemed pretty much in agreement with everything when we were on site. So, but if you guys have any questions or would like any more information, we're happy to provide.
Leah, would you like to add anything since you were there? And do you concur with what was?
Yeah, it was a pretty straightforward site walk with the no change that were needed to be made. It did look, the IVW reviewed was mostly just a rock pile that probably holds water occasionally. Yeah, I think it was a pretty straightforward review.
Diane?
No, I do not have any questions.
Emily?
No questions.
Bob?
No questions.
Chris?
None.
Anybody in the audience? All right, so I guess since there are none, we can close this hearing.
Great. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Have a great night.
This one.
All right, so this next one's continued. 525 Hartford Turnpike is asked for a continuance. And, okay, so we have a continued public hearing regarding the notice of intent filed by Bobby Maholtra on behalf of B&M Affordable Construction, 4060 Deerfield Road, Shrewsbury, for the demolition of an existing family home, and construction of 2 single-family homes within the Riverside area at 3335 Redland.
Good evening. For the record, Michael Scott from Land Design Collaborative in Westboro. I'm here on behalf of Mr. Maholtra. We were here a month ago, and you had a bunch of questions, to be blunt. So hopefully I can do a little better job answering your questions tonight. To that end, we provided revised site plans which more clearly depict the intent of the redevelopment. And, excuse me, we provided a letter kind of walking through 1058-5, the redevelopment standards for redevelopment of previously degraded and altered riverfront area. Essentially, the big question was, there's some additional alteration at this site which already exceeds the 10%, and how could that be permitted? The EP asked the question, and you folks asked the question. So in my letter of October 14th, I walked through the 1058-5 A through G, and essentially, because the project already exceeds the 10%, work is within the 100, as close, and if Leah brings the plans up, there's alteration, previous alteration. Again, this lot was developed in the late 1800s. The home's been there since the late 1800s. The site has been used for that long. The driveway's been in the current location since that time. Obviously, there were no standards back then. So what we're looking at doing is removing some of the existing driveway, demoing the existing house, and then constructing a new driveway utilizing the same route, but to reach the 2 proposed structures. And as a result, and there's a table on the last sheet that kind of breaks down what's going and what's what's coming in, the net result is, Aaliyah, if you could go to this is the planting plan, which we can come back to, but if you can go to this lot, that sheet, yeah. So there's several different, there's a couple color schemes and hatching schemes here, which hopefully more clearly depict what we were trying to show. Last time we broke this down by the individual parcels and 100 and 200 foot. So we simplified this table to look more like what you reviewed at 422 South Quinsigamond. If you remember that project, same owner. There was a house and a garage, similar situation, work well into the riverfront area. And so we tabulated the work there, like it was simple, so we redid this table to sort of simplify. But in effect, what we're saying is we're adding some new impervious to crosshatched red. We're removing existing degraded impervious. It's the green plus signs. And those areas are tabulated, and that results in around, what is it? About 500 square feet of additional impervious within the 200-foot riverfront. All of it's been removed from the 100, where there is some today. And then there's some additional, quote-unquote, alteration, clearing just along the edge of the driveway and to get the utilities, which need to get out to the public street. So we're running them out to the east and getting as tight a pass as we can around the corner of the homes to minimize alteration. And so those numbers are tabulated at the lower right. And then when we sum that, we end up with some around 1,700, 1,800 square feet of additional disturbance. And we're proposing that this portion of the site, which is presently like a parking area, and those of you that went out there and there was a boat and a bunch of other stuff up in that area, the boat's gone. But there's still, especially back in this portion of the site, which I included a couple photos, got a couple lean-tos. They have construction materials like doors, windows. There's a lawnmower out there. There's a bunch of, there's snow blower out there. There's some other stuff stuffed in this corner. And that's all within the 100. So what we're saying is this area will be cleaned up. You had a note about, I actually added a note on another sheet, the erosion sheet, to clean up the slope where there's been some dumping. You could witness construction material over the slope. There's plenty of brush and slash over there, but there is some obvious, and probably some litter that has blown over through the years. So we have a note on an earlier sheet to clean this area up. But what I saw was the focus of the remaining debris and trash is all right in this portion of the site. So that would all go. And then this area and this area, which is also cleared today, if you go back a couple sheets, Aaliyah, there's a planting plan that shows, right there, the restoration. We had, previously we had the quantities on, but we didn't have each of the individual plants called out, so that's been corrected. We also note that, and I'll go through all the standards if you'd like me to in the letter, but one of the requirements is to provide the equivalent amount of top and subsoil, or the topsoil, or that organic material that's present throughout the site. All the test bits, we were somewhere between like 10 and 14 inches of that material, so we called for 12 inches of growing media in this area, as opposed to what you would normally see 4 or 6 inches. So we have the restoration areas, and again, those are more than double the alteration that's proposed. And then we had proposed a row of boulders so that nobody drives their equipment past. Many communities recommend that or encourage it, as opposed to a fence or some sort of signage. So we end up with about 10 feet from the house. We gave them just enough room to get around the side of the house, and just enough room on the front to put a stormwater recharge system here, which is shown on another sheet, and get the utilities out to Redland Street. But as spelled out in the letter, essentially, in order to meet or demonstrate compliance with the standards for redevelopment, this project will remove all the impervious and previously impervious areas, gravel areas that are used for parking within the 100, which is in this part of the site. We've called for removing trash and debris. There's notes on the erosion and sediment control plan to remove the trash and debris across the site, in particular in the buffer zone and riverfront area at this portion of the site where we observed it and photo documented it, which, as I say, is included in the letter. And then they're removing the septic system, which is right in this area, and of course, it's going to municipal sewer out the other direction. So that's with respect to 1058-5A, which is demonstrating, that there will be an improvement to existing conditions. We're pulling the work quite a bit away from the river itself. The stormwater is managed in accordance with the standards. This project would be exempt, but we're actually it's required in Shrewsbury. There's a stormwater bylaw, so we're satisfying the stormwater bylaw. Therefore, you're getting additional recharge, phosphorus removal, and the like, which are documented in the stormwater report. 1058-5C says no work will be closer than existing conditions. There'll be just a tiny bit of the 100-foot that's presently a lawn area would remain as such. It's actually parking today, so it will be lawn area in the future. Otherwise, everything has been moved outside the 100. And I would like to believe that the cleaning up of this mess and then the restoration of this portion of the site and this portion of the site does improve existing conditions and is farther away than presently exists. 1058-5D, what we're saying is here the majority of the work has been relocated farther from the riverfront or the river itself. As I say, and it's on the last sheet, but everything within the 100-foot that was impervious has been removed. Work is now where it used to be about 50 feet, it's now around, in this case, around 90 feet. And again, we've restored some of it. This is in the outer 100-foot, but the majority of the restoration is occurring within the inner 100 feet. So to that extent, we've also, the existing house is here. This house is a little closer, but we've moved the parking farther. So in terms of runoff and cleanliness of runoff, I'd consider that an improvement. And then with respect to E, F, and G, where it talks about if you're exceeding the other standards published in 1058-4, which we are, exceeding so the criteria not conforming, we've made the improvements necessary, and specifically, rather than just go with the one-to-one restoration that's noted in 5F, this project exceeds the requirement of 5G, which it provides 4,051 square feet compared to the 1,738 or 83 square feet rather. New alteration. So we're talking at a ratio of 2.3 to 1, and I would note that presently there's a 13,685 square feet of alteration. The restored condition would be 10,881, which goes from 33% down to 29%. So it's a marked improvement from the standpoint, especially of the setback, but there is a nominal improvement in terms of the total footprint. And for those reasons, we feel as though we have attained or met the requirements under 1058-5 for the redevelopment. And I'll be happy to take any questions.
Okay, Diane,
No questions.
Emily,
Can you come back to me?
sure, Bob,
No questions.
Chris,
No questions.
Leah,
I would recommend a condition prioritizing that cleanup be done kind of at the forefront of the project, so to ensure that it gets done. I'd also recommend, should the commission choose to issue an order of conditions, that a special condition be included for monitoring the restoration areas to ensure their success, and and replacement of any species that are not doing well.
for how long? Would you like it, a year?
Probably similar to our monitoring periods for wetland replication areas. We might want to see a 2-year monitoring period with a similar 75% success rate.
So Mike, can you just explain your rationale you're saying that, how much new,
Yeah, Lee, if you go to the last sheet, that's, and
I have it here, but new
Yep.
and not, I understand there's 13,000
right.
disturbed now. How much new and additional to that is it?
So, right, so that number is, we're at 1,700, 1,783. That would be if you scroll down, it's a combination of, and this is the red minus this green, because this green is presently impervious surface that will be restored to lawn or will remain, actually, this will all be restored to lawn area, the green in these areas. So that results in that 1783. And then we're moving, again, with the exception of this corner of the building, all the impervious and other surfaces are moving farther from the wetland. So the nearest parking area is here rather than in the 100. And I didn't put a dimension on that, but I did note, right here, we're at 89. I believe that's 89 today and 101. And presently, this is right around 50 feet. So the net result is that this alteration will be, past 90 feet versus 50 today. And the impervious surface, granted that there's a building here, but the impervious surface will be more than 100 feet, whereas it's under 100 feet today. So we've removed and that's tabulated down at the bottom right. So we end up with this slightly greater than 2-to-1 restoration to alteration. And that's setting aside the setbacks. That's just the aerial footprint. And of course, the septic system's coming out. So we look at this as both from a numbers perspective, but from a finished product perspective. You're going to have a greater buffer. That first 100 feet is going to be much more substantially naturalized. We do have the planting plan calls for all native plantings, dogwood, maple, blueberry, all things that you would see in this area anyway, and some of which will probably come back and be improved. And again, we put the boulders on there to try to protect that, to make it clear that that's not to become somebody's pool or something like that, because homeowners tend to grow. And of course, we've got the common driveway, so that's another reason that there's no reason to try to bring a vehicle over here. Never mind that this is a really steep slope, but this is a nice flat area, so we're trying to protect it.
So with the original disturbed area of 13,000
Correct.
square feet, you're bringing that number down
To 10,880.
10,000.
To almost 11, so a couple thousand square feet less. Correct. And that's within the riverfront. I mean, there's a little more disturbance outside, but that's not, obviously it's not your jurisdiction, but we had to get the sewer and the water out to the street, and we had to widen the driveway a little bit. The town requires an 18-foot driveway. So there's a little more disturbance up in that end of the site, but again, we've mitigated for stormwater even outside the riverfront and buffer, because that's a standard that you have in town. And
By what you're proposing, this meets the standard provided by the wetlands.
That's how I read 1058-5, that we meet the numerical standard. That's your redevelopment under the wetlands in the riverfront, where it talks specifically about notwithstanding section 1058-4, which establishes that 10% or 5,000, you can exceed in cases like this where there has been historic alteration. And this isn't something that happened in 1996, it happened in 1896 or 1886. So this was done long before at least the house and presumably driveway. Probably not the stuff that's over in this corner, but there's been historical use of this site for a century or more.
And you're confident that even with the two houses, we fall within that?
I believe so, and I believe, as I stated, I believe that that's an improvement because we've moved parking and vehicle use farther from the wetland. We've pulled the septic system out of the 105, 110 feet from the wetland.
So basically, we're going from 13,000 to 11,000.
Correct.
You're decreasing.
That's right.
Emily, do you have any questions?
I mean, I guess with the mitigation or restoration, no mitigation. Is 2-to-1 is, I think, fine. Did you talk to Kim at all?
I did. She had not, she was not the reviewer on this project. Brianna was.
Oh. Oh, and Brianna said the same thing, is to demonstrate compliance, so
Yes.
I think-
Yeah, so it was a similar situation of,
in that
there has
area
been
that
2-to-1 mitigation of the.
is parking is really like gravel and.
Yeah, it
it's
is a pretty
impervious, or-
rough, stormwater in Shrewsbury does consider gravel to be impervious because obviously no one is out there like making sure the gravel allows water through it.
Right.
Like no one's vacuuming their gravel.
It's been used for so long. and-
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
I
So it would be an impervious surface.
what I,
well.
and this is what we do, when we do designs from scratch, we would contend that anything that's relatively flat probably is somewhat pervious. Like this site is probably somewhat pervious for lighter rainstorms. But once you get anything substantial, it's gonna pond and it's gonna move. And anything over a few percent, gravel's effectively not impervious because it just immediately starts to become saturated and run off. So that's how we view it, when we design. I would argue, yeah, the smallest storms, you're getting some recharge, but after that, it's, not after 100 years of use.
I think we're good with the
Okay.
restoration provided.
All right, anybody in the audience have any questions? So I guess, are we all set?
I guess I did have one additional
Okay.
question related to, I know it does slope off pretty quickly, as, I guess what obviously typically the priority with the construction of housing is to get the housing done first and then do the landscaping associated with it, but then you have to wait out the 2-year monitoring period associated with that as well. With the 10 feet proposed adjacent to the house after the restoration is completed, the inner house, do you have any concern about the construction equipment that can be kind of large and the slopes that kind of are pretty close there?
Well, so it's pretty flat. This is the top of the bank.
Okay,
So there's about 40 feet. That's why I was saying we wanted to put the boulders there, because otherwise that's just gonna end up becoming someone's side yard like it is today.
okay. It does look like the erosion control is proposed, wait, where's good gravy?
Yeah, you have to go back to a different sheet. This bold line was meant to.
Yeah,
show
do you know what the limit to the erosion control to the proposed dwelling will be?
Can you go,
Whee,
it should be on the first or second. sheet.
okay. maybe.
Yeah, so we're showing the erosion barrier around the restoration initially, because they will be, working in
Yeah.
there to put the soil back.
Yeah,
We could, if you made a condition to move, once this is done, there could be a second line. If they put the boulders in,
yeah,
they have to put the stormwater system in before they put the boulders in.
yeah, absolutely.
And then, once those are in, they would have to work from this side. And they're gonna
Okay.
be bringing equipment, and all the materials are gonna come in the current driveway, right? There's no way to
Okay.
get up to the site, so everything will come in from this direction. So I guess if you made a condition that they reestablish erosion barriers along the boulder line.
Yeah, I just, once the slope starts, obviously, there's really nothing to stop.
Yeah, no, and even, so the
Product
slope is
moving.
actually here, and the erosion barriers are way up here.
Yeah, okay,
So there's still that's still another 15-foot
okay. Just,
easy
yeah, making sure that there's no
plateau,
failure
if you will.
for those. Yeah, so I would recommend, in addition to the monitoring for the,
2 years.
planting, just regular erosion control monitoring as well, to ensure that is, remaining stable.
And that would be part of your local stormwater bylaw
Yeah,
as
yeah,
well.
it's typically, but usually just our stormwater coordinator will receive those sometimes, so I'll have them send them to me too and be catching those.
Was this site divided yet? Was the site divided?
Has this been A&R'd yet?
No.
Okay,
So there's a common driveway application.
okay,
So if that were to fail, then this would probably end up being a duplex. So there were some questions about what was going on in between the buildings on the other plan. We had looked at a duplex, and some of that information remained. So Mr. Maholter is going to own and rent these, is what I understand. He would not sell the lots. That's what I understand. He's been renting this for a year or more, or however long he's had it. So,
sorry, just to throw a little curve
Yeah.
towards the end. with the consideration of the duplex, were you seeing any reduced?
No, it's actually worse because of parking.
Oh, interesting, okay.
So I think these numbers might still work, but he
Yeah.
prefers single family because he could sell those if he so chose compared to, he could obviously sell the duplex, but this would be more valuable. And it becomes a bit more of a headache with the parking. So
Okay.
that's why we have a little bit of a surplus of restoration, because if he wants to switch it back, then we're gonna have to redo all of this, and obviously we'll come back.
Okay, I think that answers all my questions.
Okay. And anybody in the audience? And any more questions, I will close the hearing.
All right, well, thank you.
All right, we had two RDAs at the beginning of the hearing. I don't believe,
Yes, it does look
Showed
like
up.
Mark arrived.
okay, come on up.
Let me pull up. So yeah, do we did already read out for 216 North Street, so we'll start with that one and then we'll scoot to the next. Let me pull up some pictures.
Sit at the table. Can I move this mic? to the
There's a
front?
mic there if you'd like to sit down. All right, what do we got going on, and who are we talking to?
So Mark Lambert, Lambert's Lane Care, Chris Wild, 216 North Street.
Excuse me.
I was here last month talking about taking out, it was 10 to 12 trees, and there was an issue in the back for removing some of the stumps. And there was a proposed issue with the shed that was gonna go in, and that was an open intent from, I think, even a couple of years ago.
2021.
So Chris needed to get involved with it in order to bring and forward the plans and take it from there.
Okay, so where are we at now?
So we reviewed the plans. It looks like, I was working with Leah, that the notice of intent has remained open.
Yes, so the order of conditions that was issued, so that's, we issue an order of conditions, that'll be the name of the permit. The order is still valid. And the order was for the construction of a single-family home addition, which has been constructed, the relocation of a shed, and then the construction of another thing. Let me find it.
It was for.
The construction of a deck and some stairs. Here is the plan that was associated with the original filing. Another copy of that plan for Emily and to pass it.
Hey, Bob, pass it.
So that was approved under the order, the relocation of the shed. And at that time, we just had the policy in place, so there probably was less focus on the removal of trees associated with the installation or relocation of the shed. It is, part of that proposal is to move the shed further away from the wetland. So based on our conversations, it did seem that it sounded like a good move, and it is under the approved and open and valid order of conditions. I think it would just be to the commission if they want us, especially with the inability to have high stumps when you're trying to put a shed on top of them. The replacement of some trees might be recommended.
We're open to replacing trees with deciduous ones. Leave it to Mark to defer, but looking for evergreens. Maybe a flowering dogwood might make my wife happy to have something flowering back there. So,
Okay,
it might need to be a small retaining wall to level it, but nothing too high.
okay. Diane?
Did you say that there might have to be a small retaining wall?
Yeah, about a foot, based on the topological survey for the
Where-
shed pad,
Where would that be?
where the relocation of the shed is.
So in order to make it level for the
Correct.
shed? Okay. Okay, so with the 10 trees that,
It's on the wetland, right? Not in the wetland.
the 10 trees that that you're considering taking down, there would be replacement for the 10 trees?
There would be replacement trees in that area. Only 2 are within the wetlands area. I think the other 10 are outside of the border.
So, and those two, are they towards the, right around the
They're
shed?
they're in that shed area, correct?
Yeah, I saw them. They're pretty significant trees.
One's a red oak, one's a silver maple, I
You
believe.
already gave him,
Yeah.
put it in that position.
All right.
Both of which have failure points. Mark can explain on that in greater detail if needed.
Okay, so they'd be replaced one for one?
One for one,
Uh-huh.
if not more, with evergreens.
And these are native trees that you're putting in?
Yeah, I got the list from Leah. They would
Okay,
be
lovely.
evergreens, ones that would grow well. Mark said Mark's the arborist.
Okay, okay,
But something there that would replenish the trees.
okay. Thank you very much.
Emily?
I have no questions.
Bob?
No questions.
Chris?
No, thank you for the clarity. Appreciate it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, just getting an idea of the number of trees proposed to replace. If upon review of the list, Mark, if you're not finding species that, we haven't added some species because they were ALB host trees. We are recognizing that ALB is kind of moved along from the area. So if you're finding some species that you would like to include that you know are native and can be added to the list, or appropriate alternatives, not arborvitaes, but something besides that would be
Okay.
great to see.
Not arborvitae's, got it.
Not arborvitaes.
So, what we're gonna be, the shed falls under the order.
Conditions, right?
Yes, so the
And-
shed relocation has already, was previously approved
okay.
by you guys,
And then the IDAs for the,
just for the
Removal?
removal of the trees.
and the planting of new ones? or-
Yes.
And the plant, okay.
Yes, yeah.
And they're gonna replant, how many did you say?
I think it's only two that's in that wetland area.
Two.
One was the red maple, and one was the red oak.
Will you leave any of the trees up?
The
High?
only two that are in that area are the guy to come out for the shed.
Comes up, okay.
Yeah.
Anything else, Aaliyah?
So there did seem to be conversation of whether 10 or 12 trees would be, 10 or 12, yes, that is the word, trees is being removed. What's the final head count?
I want to say it's 12, because
Okay.
those last two at the end. The
Okay,
shed.
so we'll include,
12.
just including, having a final number in the order.
Remove 12, replace 2.
Yes,
Okay, that's for the IDA.
yes.
Okay. All right, somebody like to make are we good with this one?
I do believe so.
Sorry, I was behind.
Would somebody like to make a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we issue a negative order with respect to this request, or negative determination with respect to this request, conditioned upon replacing 2 trees,
And removal of 12.
removing of 12 and replace, that's what the,
Replace 2.
Yes.
yes.
Second.
Replacing with 2.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, that one's, now we're on to the next one you guys do. This is a new one.
Correct. Notice is hereby given in accordance with the provisions of General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, in the Town of Shrewsbury Wetlands Bylaw and Regulations, that Mark Lambert, 41 Campground Road, West Boylston, Mass. Has filed for the request for the determination, has filed a request for the determination of applicability for the removal of 2 trees at 24 Pondview Road.
Yep. So I was called to take a look at 2 trees to be removed at 24 Pondview. Older lady lives there. She wanted them down. I said I had to go in front of the Cost Commission on it. They're right in front of the pond, within that 100 feet area. So here I am. She wanted the trees down, stumps ground. She wanted to make a lawn. I think she kind of struggles with some of the fall cleanup on it, and there is, one of the trees is co-dominant, it's very prone to failure. There's a lot of dead limbs inside the tree. I looked at it, I want to say, had to be in early September, so there's still foliation on the trees. But, yeah, you can see the co-dominant, you can see the defined bark bump ridge in there. It's just gonna fail, and it's right on the property line.
Okay. Diane?
So, both trees would come down?
Correct.
Okay. And they would be replaced with what?
That was not determined.
Okay.
There was no replacement, I was just asked to come in and take them down, grind them,
So they're,
and then re-loam and seed to make them
they're right next to the water. And I know that she wants to grind the stump down.
Yeah.
So
She wants to make it mobile surface, so it's easier for her.
she wants to get,
Make it mobile, like so she can just get on a mower and cut the grass, make it easy. She doesn't, I don't think she wants to leave anything up high. She wants them ground, loam and seed it, so it's easier for her to mow.
okay. And I know she doesn't want to put in trees to replace these trees.
That I'm not sure of. That didn't go down that conversation with her.
So normally we would either ask the stump to be left up high or trees to replace the trees.
I think she may be open if I didn't ask the question, so I can't speak for her.
Okay,
I know for certain she doesn't want the stump up high.
no,
Right.
no. Well, then, should we be making recommendations for trees that might replace these?
You can always set a condition of whatever is reasonable to the commission. Yeah, those are, it's typically installed as a condition, so it would be either replacement or.
Right. Well, so the trees next to the water actually have a service that they do to the ponds. They keep it cooler, and then they are, which is really good for the water, and for everything that lives in the water, keeping it cooler. And they are home to a myriad of insects and therefore birds and small animals. So taking them down and replacing them is something that I would like to request. If she doesn't want something tall, then there are some things that she might want to consider. Plants that do well near water, like certain very shrubby willows, like pussy willow. They don't grow all that tall, like maybe 15 feet. And they definitely love the water, and they're great for pollinators. So that, I don't know if we want to be suggesting specific trees or if she wants to consider.
We could, Diane, we could say and replace with 2 trees or shrubs
Yes,
per our lists.
for our list.
All right, so that gives her the option to pick 2 trees or 2 shrubs if that's acceptable.
Yep, that's good, yes.
I have no additional questions. I think that it's reasonable to ask for a replacement if we're not gonna leave the stumps. If that homeowner is amenable to that. But otherwise, I'm good.
You good?
Yep.
Okay, Bob?
Yeah, I agree. Those trees are sick. I went down and looked at them today. They're right, like I said, they're right by the water, and there's a fence there, so obviously you couldn't dig them up, so you're gonna have to grind them. I agree with that. And, she'd like to put some trees, and I think that would be nice, in my opinion. Thank you.
Okay, Chris?
Yeah, I would agree, and she could even plant them. There's a small, very short fence near the water line. She could put the trees closer to that or the shrubs, so she doesn't have to mow around them and everything.
Okay.
Yeah, there's kind of a, so this
Like a
is the
decorative
last
fence.
property before you get to Rotary Park. Is that name? Maybe?
Yeah.
I think.
Yes.
Yes, Rotary Park. So there's a small forested area adjacent to the property as well. So if she kind of pushed, she could scooch the trees or the shrubs around so that it's kind of part of the wild space instead of
Right,
part of
right,
curated,
exactly.
more curated
Yes,
space.
exactly, right.
Okay, yeah.
So will you provide a list of trees and shrubs to her directly, or would that come to me, or? how is it gonna be
So I
handled?
think because you applied, I don't have any of her contact
Okay,
information. So, yeah, just relaying either.
You'll send it directly to me?
Yes, yeah,
All
I'll
right,
send it
let
to
her
you.
know.
Yeah,
Okay.
You good with that?
I think that's it, yeah.
Okay. Okay, any questions from the audience? Would somebody like to make a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we issue a negative determination with respect to this request contingent upon the applicant replacing the 2 trees with 2 from our list to be provided.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank
All
you.
set.
Have a great night.
Thank you.
Thanks, you too.
Appreciate it. Sorry I was late.
All righty, so that concludes hearings and meetings.
All right.
New and old business. Discuss and sign orders of conditions.
Let's see, so we closed Graylock Park, 378 Oregon Ave. I didn't record any conditions in my notes.
I think
As-built.
those conditions would be related to what DEP had recommended. Let me grab,
As-built plan, right?
I have 2 determinations of applicability coming your way. For 63 to 78 Graylock, there was conditions related to submitting an as-built plan for the property, and recording the temporary impacts to BLSF in probably one of the special conditions. I think. I have no, but I don't know what no is for, so. No more special conditions for me.
There you go. All right, would somebody like to make a motion with respect to that?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we issue an order of conditions with the condition of that they submit the as-built plans and that we get the recording of the BLSF.
And this is for Graylock Park,
For
or
Graylock Park.
6378 Oregon Ave, and this is for the construction of 210 feet of sidewalk.
Correct.
Okay.
Second.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right. Next one is 142,
Order of conditions for it.
160 Clinton Street.
Oh, I got 457 Walnut.
Yeah, I was gonna say that.
Oh,
Yeah,
I'm going by the back. All right, 457 one.
Oh, did I put them in the wrong order?
Correct.
Sure did.
All right. Somebody like to make a motion?
Well, we had, there was
I think it was
a
fertilizer.
discussion around nitrogen-free fertilizer
Correct.
Nitrogen and phosphorus.
and phosphorus, okay. With respect to 457, just to be clear, 457 Walnut Street, I make a motion that we issue an order of conditions subject, with the condition of that only nitrogen and phosphorus-free soil be used.
Fertilizer.
Fertilizer.
Fertilizer be used, sorry.
Second.
And installation of no disturbance signage.
Okay. And installation of no disturbance signage.
I believe that was shown, correct?
Yes, it was. Just want
It was
to
on the plan. 15
really
every
nail it
15
home.
feet.
Second.
Okay, there's a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Okay, now it's 142 Clinton.
All right, so we'd like to make a motion of 142, 160, 142 Clinton Street, 160 Holden Street for the installation of a sewer line.
Do we want to talk about the conditions of between points 1400 and 1600 for the horizontal boring? Not sure exactly how to phrase that. But
You could just say the horizontal boring will
Clean out?
take place in between stations 1400 and 1600.
Okay. And then do we need to evaluate the letter from the DEP before we, or say that we want to review that?
I would
Have
say,
the right to review it, I guess?
I mean, if there are any changes, they'll have to come back and agreed, so that would be up to him.
So we can leave that off as our
Yep.
conditions. All
I
right, so-
would recommend a special condition related to weekly or bi-weekly erosion control monitoring.
Okay, so, Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we issue an order of conditions with the condition that boring take place between stations 1400 and 1600, and that there's a bi-weekly monitoring of erosion control. for
Second.
142 Clinton and 160 Holden Street.
Second.
There's a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And then we had
223.
223 Hartford Turnpike, sorry, yep. I had no conditions written down on that.
Because this is for the,
23 Hartford, just note, I guess noting the absence of the secondary delineation area, or secondary, probably denoting that there is an IVW, a non-jurisdictional IVW present, and then DEP also recommended a condition denoting the fact that there are some, that there were resource areas on site that were not delineated as part of this project. So that would be I'll go through the flags, but kind of the limitation of the delineation is what was delineated.
Just need to
That'll do
recognize
it.
that there was a
Limited
a limited
delineation, basically. yes.
IBVW?
Yes. Mhm.
Okay. So with respects to 223 Hartford Turnpike, Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we issue an order of,
no,
I'm sorry,
abbreviated
an abbreviated notice of resource area delineation, and recognize the non-jurisdictional IBVW.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, that's the last one.
Which would be 35 Redland.
Yep.
So I have several conditions that we talked about, that the cleanup be prioritized to the front of the project, that we monitor the restoration areas for 2 years to a 75% success rate, and I was going to suggest that we wait till after the planting is done before we, in other words, they can't start today.
Yes, yeah.
So,
Right.
and then erosion barriers be installed along the boulder line and monitored throughout the building process?
Yeah.
Okay. So, Mr. Chairman, I make a motion with respects to 33 and 35 Redland Street that we issue order of conditions with the condition that the cleanup is the cleanup of the portion of the property that's closest to the riverfront be cleaned up and prioritized to the front of the project. That we monitor the restoration areas for 2 years to a 75% success rate. Once the planting is done, the 2 years starts, and that the erosion control barriers be installed along the boulder line throughout the home construction process.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right.
Okay.
Do we have certificates of compliance?
I sure do. The first certificate of compliance, I would recommend signing off on all of the certificates of compliance issued tonight, or listed tonight. The first is for 1 Temple Court. This was the construction of a single-family home at 1 Temple Court. It's proposed to be put up for sale. Their closing is actually on Thursday, of course.
Sure it is.
The house has been constructed, it is a stable, and it is all in line with what was approved. The homeowner was actually surprised that they had not closed it out previously, because it is an older, it's 1301, so it was, I think, in the early 2000s that it was approved.
Did this come up as part of the closing?
It sure did, as they usually do.
Did they at least submit like a compliance letter or something?
Same
To
For
accompany
this
the
one?
request?
Let me see what they did submit.
I think that's fine.
So tiny. Great.
Because even for the older ones, I mean, they should still have somebody at least take a look at the, you know, and certify that it's built in substantial compliance, because that's what the regulations say.
Yeah,
or the form even itself says.
For this one, I don't think that they had submitted, a certified, a letter from an engineer or
Okay.
ELS, sorry.
Well,
When we went out there, it looked in line with what had been proposed on the plan set. But
You
yeah.
know, I get that everybody's in a rush because they have to sell now, but you did open a permit and never close it out. I don't know.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so I don't know what the commission would like to do.
You did
in that
look at it,
process.
and it does seem to be in line.
Yes, yeah, the house was constructed per the,
I think that Emily brings up a valid point, maybe going forward, we just ask for that, and if they send something in, that'll help us, but
yes, yeah,
I think
absolutely.
that's fair.
That makes sense.
Okay. Sounds good.
The second one I would recommend signing off of is actually a reissuance. So 96 High Street was a large subdivision that was proposed similarly in the early 2000s. They have received a total certificate total certificate of compliance for the entire project before, but I was not able to retain a authentic copy of that. So in order to close a different house, they're requesting a reissuance. But that was previously closed out.
Great.
This is both 136 and 143?
No, this is
Oh.
for 96 High Street.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Reissuance, I'm sorry. I'm slower than that. 1960 is for 136 South Quinsigamon Avenue. I do have information for that. This was the construction of the replacement of an existing deck. Graves Engineering submitted the request for certificate of compliance, and it included a letter of certification that it was all built according to the plan. Upon our site inspection, it was looked in line with what had been proposed originally.
That's what they had pavement or something, did they put in something about pavement on that one? They repaved the driveway?
They had installed a new driveway. I'm pretty sure the driveway was outside of the 100 area, but they included, people, when they're including their permitting for us, they will typically include everything, even if it's not under our jurisdiction. So yes, they had replaced a driveway in the front area of the house, not our jurisdiction, and then they had replaced a deck in the rear yard, which was our jurisdiction. How many of those have I given you?
That was the third one, I believe.
Okay. 1, 2, 3. Okay, now I'm on to the fourth, and I'm going to hand you a fourth one. 143 North Quinsigamon Avenue was the construction of a retaining wall. They have submitted as-built plans, as well as a letter certifying that the wall was built in accordance with the plans. An issue to us, this is for the construction of a wall at the condo association located there.
What kind of wall? Like a retaining wall?
Yes, it is a retaining wall along the water's edge. One of the conditions of the original permit that was issued was that it be survey located so that we can ensure that it was, where it was supposed to be. And that was included in the,
There is an as-built.
yes, yeah,
Great.
there was an as-built submitted as well.
Thank you.
And then the last one is 11 Sunset Lane. This was, we permitted pretty recently. It was the removal of a substantial number of decks and docks, and the removal of a shed that was within a lot of jurisdictional areas. They've removed all the decks and docks. They submitted a revised plan set showing that the decks and docks and the shed had been removed. So they're square.
Was that the shed that was partly on someone else's property?
It might have been, yes, yeah. It was really close to the wetland area, and it was on someone else's property.
Yeah, that's right.
Real fun shed location.
And that's it for those.
I think so.
That's a good one. Do you have any updates?
Wrapping them all up. I don't know. Do I know?
I have one, the town moderator reappointed me to serve as the conservation member of the Lake Quinsigamon Commission
Congratulations.
for an
Great place
FYI.
to get it.
Do a good job?
Best of luck to you out there.
Thanks. Does somebody in the audience have anything to add? Ann, do you have anything you'd like to discuss?
Would you like me to provide an update first, and then you can, okay. So I assume Ann is here about 101 North Quinsigamon Avenue. So I was able to take a site visit with the contractor. They have installed most of the walls at this point. They are not going to be able to probably permanently stabilize over the winter because it's too cold to grow grass now. So I had recommended that stabilization be installed at the lowest level. They have kind of leveled it out down there. It looks like they've had to change the grading a little bit. It's gotten more
Terraced?
plateauy, yeah, terraced throughout the property to kind of accommodate the immense amount of dirt on site and making all of the things work.
So it won't be stabilized until the spring?
Yeah, so I had said something needed to be installed over the winter time for the lowest terrace, because it sounded like, they were proposing, I think, to install a permeable turf at the lowest level, so they wouldn't, because there's like a boatload of stairs, so getting any kind of grass maintaining equipment down there would be a pain in the butt, so they were going to install,
Like an astroturf, like a permeable plastic turf?
I guess so, yeah. Mhm.
Is that,
Couldn't you plant ryegrass or something? That'll grow this time. of
Yeah.
year.
doesn't the AstroTurf leach
Yeah.
toxic
Yes.
chemicals?
Yes,
Does.
it's basically
Yes, I
trash.
think that was a statement, not a question.
Sounded like it.
We have a planting, do they just want to do that temporarily? Isn't there something on the?
So for the winter time, I had recommended the installation of
Jute netting?
like a jute net or like a, just even, they had extra silt fence on site. They were just gonna lay the silt fence down and then cover it in rock so that it wasn't, in just individual rocks, not like cover it in
Right.
layer of rock. To just keep it down so that it wasn't washing into the lake all winter long.
I mean,
But
that
rye-
shouldn't happen.
Sorry.
Sorry. Yeah, anything exposed should be covered and
Yeah, exactly.
stabilized
Yeah.
prior to.
Could ryegrass still make it?
That's my opinion, but
Yeah. I mean, it's made to grow in
Would-
cold weather, right?
would we be okay with natural shredded wood? You see that in construction
I
sites a
think
lot.
a jute netting or something would probably be good.
Jute net.
Wood
Like
might
wood,
float into
wood
it.
Yeah.
chips?
That's
Might
what I
fold
meant.
into
That's,
the lake.
that's
So
what I was
typically
asking.
for like a wood,
Not dyed,
It's,
not,
it's larger than a wood chip typically for stabilization purposes. Yeah, it's like big old chunks of shredded wood so that it kind of really, it has been very effective on some of our construction sites, our larger sites, to keep the sites very stable. I don't know if the commission would like to leave it open to the applicant to kind of determine what is within their,
should be stabilized, and I'm not crazy
Yeah,
about
exactly,
AstroTurf
stabilized.
or
And I think
plastic
they should put some
grass.
erosion controls right in front of the water if they're gonna put it in there, because like I said, that wood chips, it could all
Yeah.
wash into the lake.
yeah, absolutely.
So if they put some erosion controls for the whole winter to
Okay.
secure it until they can do it.
Yeah, and then
Well-
it's, yeah, the lowest terrace is currently cannot be seated, so it would, I had recommended something across the entire terrace so that it wouldn't, so that it was, the whole thing was stable.
And
Is
yeah,
there a
even
planting
if,
plan on the order? Do you have something?
I don't think they had included a planting plan.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
I think at the beginning, it was just to replace that one wall, and then it just morphed into this huge.
Ginormous retaining wall.
mhm.
Event.
Ann, what would you like
And
to
anything
add?
additional to add?
I had just looked for an update, thank you.
Yes, yeah. At this point, I think they're stabilizing for winter, because they have, per the contractor, the walls are where they want them to be. The walls are warm.
Okay. Anything else?
The contractor had proposed to come back at some point after drawdown to just like, I don't know what he was gonna do something else with more walls, I don't know.
All right.
I think he just likes picking things up and putting them down out there, but.
Okay, anything else that any other commission members had to
Ma'am.
bring up?
I guess just, I think even if you do install the silt fence, you should still cover the loose dirt. with
Yeah, so I had
that.
recommended a covering across
Okay.
the whole thing, because it, that was gonna stop any
Because you could have
sheet
one
runoff.
terrible storm and it
Yeah,
just
exactly.
all washes away.
Right, and please no astroturf.
Yeah, that was,
That's a bad idea.
so.
Yeah, I'll talk to the applicant about what
Thank you.
what the final thing was.
Yeah,
I don't know what was going on.
Yeah. no.
Yeah, something like a clover or a cold weather grass too, which would grow slower. We have lots of native alternatives to Kentucky blue.
Yes, exactly.
So, okay, yeah, I'll reach out to the applicant regarding these additional fun things. Other than that, I have no updates.
All right, would somebody like to make a motion to adjourn?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we adjourn the meeting.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We are adjourned.
Okay, great.